I don't want to start us off too heavy on tonight's episode. But as of this recording just recently, a verdict was reached for the Jonathan Majors trial. Some of you may have heard about the trial and the things that were going on with all of that. It was a whole ass mess, as Grandma Q would say, whole ass mess. Jonathan Majors, of course, he this year, ironically enough, started off really, really hot for him. He's a fantastic actor, had so much promise and potential. Ant-Man 3 may not have been my dig, but I thought that his performance was really good in that. And then he had just a show-stealing performance in Creed 3. Obviously, he was going to continue to perform as Kang the Conqueror, and he was going to be the new big bad for Phase 5. And he's just he was really developing a real strong, solid body of work and making a great case for himself. And then bitches be tripping.
It's funny if you listen to the last few episodes we've done in succession, because when we did the 2023 review, the verdict hadn't come in.
Yep.
And you were like, he might be okay. Mm-hmm. And then I think during the holiday special review, I brought it up, and that was like the day the news came out.
Yep.
And then here we are.
Yeah, and now here we are.
So let me ask you this. Yeah. Would you prefer that Marvel recast the role, or would you prefer that they just sweep Kang under the rug and move on?
Great question. There's been a lot of talk about that, right? And so my thoughts on it are this. Whether they decide to move on and go with Doctor Doom, which I know is a really popular option, whether they decide to recast Kang and continue on with that and go through with Kang Dynasty. For me, honestly, it's irrelevant if the quality of their movies and TV shows continue the way that it is.
Right. That's a good answer.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's where we're at. Like, if we were still talking about Phase 3 quality, I'd be like, oh man, I think that they can continue on with Kang. It won't be the first time that they've recast somebody in a pretty big role in the MCU.
Right.
Ironically, tonight, we'll be talking about Aquaman 2 and Yahya Abdul-Mateen the second. He's another really phenomenal actor. Obviously, he's got a few villain chops that he has. I'm a really big fan of his, and I just want to say that in terms of recasting Kang the Conqueror, I'll do it for half the price of that guy. So yeah. Hey, Marvel, if you guys are looking to recast, I'll do it. I'll do it for the low.
If they're looking to recast, I would love to see them get John David Washington. Because I think that this would be right up his alley.
Yeah.
He could show off a lot of range.
Not to play like the nepotism role, right? But let's say that the rumors were true a few months ago that Marvel was talking with Denzel for a big role, because that was a rumor flying around some time ago. I can see a world where Denzel is like, I wasn't really interested, but I tell you what, I'll do your role if you make sure you cast my son.
Honestly, they could cast both of them as Kang, right? Because
hell, they could cast both of them as Magneto if that was the original plan for.
It was just like they could play like different eras, different versions of him. That would be. That's a lot of money,
right? Yeah.
But you bring Denzel in for the I'm gonna sit down at the table with you, and then for the stunt heavy stuff, you use John.
Yeah.
Hey, that would be amazing. But once again, and I'll reiterate what you said. This is all completely irrelevant if the person putting the pen to paper isn't looking after the characters or the story.
Yeah, and that's why when people have been pushing the whole, okay, let's just scrap Kang and go with Doom, I'm like, are you sure you want Doom now?
I mean, this is my thing, right?
Yeah.
The way I feel about Fantastic Four is they have to get that right more than they had to get anything right.
Yep.
I sat right here at this table about a year ago and said the same thing about Quantumania.
Yeah.
I said they have to get Kang's first appearance right. They absolutely must do so. And they fucked it completely up. All the way up.
All the way up. That's another button. I'm going to put that on the list.
Yeah, all the way up. And, I can sit here until I'm blue in the face and say, yes, Marvel, has to put so much care into this. They have to get this right. The same thing could be said for Blade. The same thing could be said for Daredevil, which they had to fire everyone. I mean, granted, at least that happened.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to know how bad that show was.
Right.
That, like, She-Hulk got out the door.
Right.
And this didn't. I hear that Loki season 2, we have not watched it yet.
Yep.
Everything I hear, though, is like the first episode or so is not good. Like, it's meh. And then it's phenomenal.
That's also what I've heard.
And like, I need to watch that, and maybe my cynicism will come down a little bit. But I don't like this Marvel doing this, like, Windows versions where we get, like, some absolute dog shit and then, like, something that's good. And they go back and forth. Like, I really need Marvel to show me that they can hit one out of the park. Do I think that's going to be, do I think it'll be Deadpool 3? Probably. But, I mean, if it's the same thing as, like, No Way Home, where we're just going to get this tentpole, stellar movie and then a couple of years of just filler rubbish, I'm not here for that. And that sort of mentality does not feed into a story arc like Thanos had.
Right.
Thanos was barely on screen until he was right in their faces.
Oh, yeah.
With Kang, they had the opportunity to put all these like stepping stones in and have him be a lot more present than Thanos ever was. So really, they had an easier path.
Yeah.
And they had all these established franchises and shit.
Right.
You think about where they had to work from originally compared to what they have now. They have everything going for them.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, they can dig up fucking the corpse of Hugh Jackman. Nothing against Hugh Jackman. I think he's going to fucking nail it because he nails everything. They can drag Tom Holland in. They can sign him to 90 movies. They can get Pedro Pascal. At the end of the day, if you're not willing to put somebody in charge who is going to put the integrity of the characters at the forefront, I'm going to go... Did you and I talk about Iman Vellani's answer? Did we talk about that interview with her?
I don't think so.
So somebody asked her, I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing of the question, but they basically were like, what does she think that the MCU like needs to do going forward from here? And she had an incredibly good answer, and she was like, the main thing that they have to do is make people care about the characters.
Yeah.
If they don't care about the characters, then the story you write means nothing.
Right.
And I'm like, can you fucking text your boss that?
Yeah.
I know you got his number.
Right. But no, that's 100% the correct answer.
Yeah.
And, going back earlier what you said about how, are we just going to every few years get like this incredible tentpole movie for the MCU and then go back to mid or worse, and it got me thinking, like, obviously next year, 2024, the only MCU movie release we're getting is Deadpool 3. And it's like this, okay, if Deadpool 3 is this incredible movie that can live up to the hype, I think it's going to have a similar, maybe issue is the wrong word, but it's going to have a similar feel as to Guardians 3, where even if it's incredible, people will kind of disassociate that from the greater MCU. No matter how many Easter eggs or references they try to put in there.
Right. Well, because it's like, okay, Deadpool's an amazing concept, right? But less is definitely more with this character.
Agreed.
So can you put him in an Avengers? Absolutely. But, like, he can't be on the screen all the fucking time.
No.
Okay, all right, so cool. You got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Okay, rumors are that him and my brain just like melted. The original
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
That him and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man are going to be like the main characters, like the kind of point of view characters for Secret Wars, right? At least for the beginning. And I'm like, that's cool. And then they're done. So what does that do for you in the long run? Like, it'll put asses in the seats. So, like, yeah, can you use that movie to put a Kamala out there and give and boost her up and maybe help her recover from the shitstorm that she just got buried under?
Yeah, put some separation between her and that.
Can you use this to build up Shang-Chi and make him a stronger character? Can you use this to build up a future villain, a future arc? If you have somebody who's crafty enough to do all that, by all fucking means, do it. Or to successfully, for the first time, launch a goddamn Fantastic Four movie franchise. Because they have to get that right, or it's done.
Yeah.
It's Dark Phoenix done. You won't see anybody attempt that storyline on the big screen again during our lifetimes.
Right.
Maybe. So, you can, like I said, you can get Pedro Pascal. Make us care about these characters, or it's all for nothing, And this whole, okay, who can we get? Who can we bring back to get asses into the seats? The MCU was not about that.
Right.
They started off with a bunch of no-name characters that people didn't give a shit about. A bunch of no-name actors plus RDJ. And they ended up making an amazing trilogy that has a fucking tree and a fucking raccoon in it. You can't play this, who can we get to do this? That's the Fox bullshit. That's Sony bullshit. That's, we can get Michael Keaton to be the Vulture in our post-credit scene and we'll put him in the trailer. And it means nothing.
Nothing, Shout out to you, Morbius. It's Morbin time.
Man, that's still that's the Star Wars holiday special of superhero movies. Good God.
Yeah, it's something.
I don't know, man. Our main event here tonight, you said mid or less, and so that made me think about the topic. So last night, and just to preface everyone here, last night, Ace and myself, we went to go see Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Yep.
I don't know if I love the fact that, like, Marvel started this with Thor, with Dark World, actually, which is ironic, where they stopped putting the numbers in there, right? Because we had Iron Man 1, 2, and then 3. And then they were like, instead of Thor 2, we're going to do Thor: The Dark World. And then they did Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And so, like, that's kind of become a thing, I guess, because they don't want them to seem like trilogies, right? So yeah, I mean, we went to go see this movie last night, and we actually have not discussed it at all.
Yeah, we haven't spoken to each other about this. We sat right next to each other the whole time, and when we watched the whole thing. So we didn't review it last night because we weren't able to see it until pretty late. We got out of the theater after midnight.
Yeah, it was today when we got out of the theater.
And so here we are now doing our review. So, this is going to be interesting. By the way, this is also the movie we've been waiting on to release so that I can finally put out the Superhero Homies Award poll for all of you guys to go ahead and vote for. So, by the time most of you hear this episode, the poll will be available for you guys to go ahead and cast your votes in. You guys are going to have some time because What If Season 2 actually just came out, which I also had to add to the list of nominations. So you guys can go ahead and start watching that. They're releasing one episode a day for 9 days, so that's going to be fucking interesting. But yeah, so with that being said, we'll go ahead and do a proper introduction here. Homies, new and old, one and all, I welcome you to a very special episode of the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and today I am here with my good friend, my brother, the homie Caleb. Caleb, welcome back.
What up, what up? We are here not to review something that we knew was awful going in, not to go on about all of the intricacies of the current state of comic book movies or video games, even though our cold open was about just that. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, we damn near have enough to do a comic news episode with the Insomniac leak.
Oh my! We didn't even talk about that. Yeah,
that might have to wait for another day.
Yeah,
because that's a whole episode, I think. But that being said, I am very happy that we're here to just bring you a good old fashioned movie review.
Yeah,
and I think this is where we need the reading of the rules.
We do. So the reading of the rules are as follows. The first portion of this episode will be spoiler-free, so if you have not seen Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, no need to worry. We will not spoil anything that wasn't mentioned or shown in the trailer. And then there will be a pause in the action where we will meander and we will speak on other things for a brief period of time, and then we will resume with the spoiler-filled section.
We can talk about the Insomniac thing during the interlude.
That we can.
Yeah. So stick around if you want to hear about that too.
Absolutely. There's some shit going on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, homies, welcome to the spoiler-free section of the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom review. Ooh, boy. Okay, so this is, for those of you who don't know, this is officially the last movie in the DC Extended Universe. So this is it. Moving forward, the next thing you see with a DC logo on it will either be Matt Reeves' Batman sequel or will be James Gunn's Superman movie, both of which are not connected to the DCEU. So,
yeah, these will be the DC universe.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. Maybe this is just me being optimistic again. You think I learned after all these years, but it can only go up from here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, did you see that they didn't even do a red carpet for this movie?
I saw that. Yeah,
they basically had some. They put out some snacks.
Yeah, they had like a little table, with one of those kind of like paper soft tablecloths they put over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had a bowl of pretzels.
We've had D&D sessions with better catering, folks.
Yeah, no, we literally have.
We really have. Yeah, it's not. We're not joking about this.
Yeah, that was sad, man. And I mean, I'm not gonna string you guys along here. I mean, I think that this movie is marginally worse than the first one. I wasn't a big fan of the first one. I thought that at its best it was okay, and at its worst it was extremely tropey and eye rolling. And but the first one, to its credit, I mean, it did well financially, made over $1 billion. And then we come around to the sequel here, and they really, to me, seem to try to recapture that same energy. They didn't really try to explore any more depth to the characters. They didn't really try to build more upon the lore. And this is no pun intended before I even say this. They didn't try to go with any more depth. They just tried to go wider. And in doing so, you just give us a bunch more stuff that we don't particularly care about. I think these movies have always had potential for me. Right, with all of the paper thin lore that they introduce about like the Atlantean culture and their history and their kingdoms and the tridents, they've always had so much that they could potentially draw upon. But these movies are so one-dimensional that if you go into them looking for anything other than a popcorn flick, you're going to be disappointed, right? And so that I just had to go ahead and get off my chest. Caleb, what are your initial thoughts about this movie?
I think that you didn't say anything I disagree with, right? Like, I mean, your typical Hollywood superhero sequel, right? Mm-hmm. You typically want to add at least like one power, right? Like, you know, obviously, like for that first origin story, whatever, you want to take that hero, that protagonist, and you want to get the core of who they are, mm-hmm. and maybe like a few basic abilities that are easy for the audience to comprehend, right? That you can translate on the screen. And you do that so that you can leave yourself room to explore more aspects of this character, both who they are and what their power set is in the sequel. And then hopefully you can do that again in a threequel, right? I mean, mm-hmm. Spider-Man 3 might be a terrible movie, but they knew what the fuck I was just talking about just now.
Yeah.
You know? This is one of those movies, you know, as we were watching it, and like, I have to turn my brain all the fucking way off to enjoy this, mm-hmm. In any way, because if I even put it at 1%, it will begin melting. Mm-hmm. I will add, I watched the Star Wars Holiday Special as like the last thing I really watched before this.
Yeah.
So that helped it.
Agreed.
A good bit.
Yeah.
it
gave us some pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason that the first movie is fun, even if it is fucking tropey, right, mm-hmm. is because Jason Momoa is having a blast.
Yeah.
And if you just eat your popcorn and sink back into your comfy chair, mm-hmm. you'll have a little fun too. Just by osmosis, you'll just have a little fun.
Yeah.
He doesn't, I mean, I'd say the first act, at least, he seems bored out of his mind in this one.
Oh, well, I had a different problem with Jason Momoa in this movie in the sense that I don't think he tried.
No, I mean...
He was just like... Okay, so granted, right, all of his Aquaman appearances have been, you know, just a version of Jason Momoa, right?
Right.
But this is just Jason Momoa.
Right.
There's nothing else here.
Yeah, no.
And it was to the point, right, where about halfway through the movie, I was looking at, like, you know, two of our main leads, and I was like, if they're going to make Jason Momoa Lobo, they might as well just make Patrick Wilson Aquaman.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, we're skipping around a little bit, but if there is a bright center to this movie, it's Patrick Wilson.
Agreed.
I loved Orm.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
It was to the point where I wish they had given him more to do, you know, just because, like, his, and again, I know, like you said, we're jumping around here, but, like, you know, with his arc here in this movie, again, they had potential to really go places with it, to really get a bit more complex, not convoluted, but just get a bit more complex with this character, right?
Yeah.
And, but they just don't.
No, yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, they have this opportunity to do all this cool exploration and, like, mm-hmm. see how, like, his time has, like, changed him and things like that. But we literally get a fucking scene change, and then he's right back to the way he was at the end of Aquaman 1, mm-hmm. literally with a splash. And it's like, what are you guys doing here? And, you know, I tried to do the Morbius thing, right, where I was like, mm-hmm. I bet this movie would have been gangbusters in 99. But then I thought about it, and I was like, if this movie came out in 99, we actually probably would have opened with, like, some deep sea researchers that were in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. And then Arthur would have, like, summoned, like, some cool-ass fish to, like, help them, right? And then we would have got some kind of scenario where, you know, maybe they go the whole thing where he's at home with the kid, whatever.
Yeah.
Some bad shit happens in Atlantis because he wasn't there, right? And then he probably would have got a new suit. Mm-hmm. Like an actual upgraded suit, not like you're going to use this suit for one scene.
Right.
They probably would have broke his trident. He probably would have had to go get a new trident made.
Yep.
Right? A new, cooler trident.
Right. Got to go the Thor route sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And then the movie would have ended with the good guy and the bad guy fighting it out. Mm-hmm. and the good guy would have won and the bad guy would have lost.
Yeah.
If it came out in 99. We didn't, like, I don't know what it is about the people that write these movies that just think that what I just said doesn't work.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not what we necessarily want, but I'll fucking take it over all these random ass things they try to do. As soon as I, like I don't want to get into spoilers, obviously, in this section, but as soon as I saw that fucking baby on the screen, I knew we were just going to get another Fast and the Furious movie underwater.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, I think that's probably kind of the best way to sum it up, really, is in terms of, like, what this movie is all about, like, the feel of it. And it doesn't even feel to me that it has the scope or scale of the first one either.
No. I mean, the plot literally is just, how can we get from this set piece to that set piece?
Yes.
You feel that through the movie hard. I mean, like, I was trying not to analyze the movie. I really was trying to, but I was like, motherfucker, they're literally just doing, like, they're putting the bare minimum in here just to get to the next big set piece.
Right.
Since we're talking about the cast,
yeah,
I will also add that this may be the first time that I got sick of Randall Park.
Man, yeah. I first of all, I didn't really look much into this movie, so I didn't even know he was going to be in it.
I didn't either.
And then, you know, when we got him, I was like, okay, so he's here for, you know, kind of a glorified cameo. And I was thinking, you know, good for the guy. He stays getting a paycheck in Hollywood. He's always working.
And he's always good.
He's always good.
He's charismatic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He tries. Him as Kim Jong-un was fucking hilarious.
I forgot he played Kim Jong-un.
Yeah. That might be my favorite role of his, actually. His MCU work is good.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. Yeah. The Office episode he was in was fucking... But no, I'm with you, man. Like, it was to the point where, like, at a certain point, I was just kind of tired of seeing this character. Like, why are you still here?
He has a lot of screen time,
right? And every time
might have more than Orm.
Yeah, right. And every time we see his character's name is Dr. Sheen. It is a character from the comic books. I had to refresh myself because I haven't read, you know, any Aquaman since the first one came out, which was 5 years ago. And so his character is actually from the comic books, and because I completely fucking forgot that. But every time we see his character, I'm thinking, oh, well, this is it. And then he's back.
Yeah, I thought he was going to die in the opening.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But his character is like the problems with his character is something that is widespread throughout the entire movie, and that is there's no depth to any of these characters. The closest one that has any depth would be maybe Orm.
Yeah.
I mean, even Black Manta, extremely one-dimensional, which again sucks because I really like Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. I think he's tremendous.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up next. Like, I loved the little bit of him we got in the first movie, and I was like, this is going to be an incredible villain for the second movie.
I thought so too.
Apparently, whoever wrote this movie didn't think so.
Yeah.
It'd basically be like, to make a comic book comparison, you know how in, like, Age of Ultron, like, Hawkeye was, like, kind of a standout, you know, because everybody was like, oh, he's the fucking guy with the bow.
Right.
And so one of the few things in Age of Ultron that they really, really got right was him. And, like, the movie really focused on him, and everybody left that movie like, oh, fuck you. Like, we all about some Hawkeye. Like, his stock went up. This would be like if you got Age of Ultron, and then you got his role in Avengers 1 right after that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what happens to him here is he gets Avengers 1 Hawkeyed.
He does, yeah. You know, without spoiling too much, that's exactly what happens here.
Yeah, you get about 45 seconds of him being the character from the first movie.
Yep.
And after that, he is a fucking walking plot device.
I mean, like, they did everything evil they could with this character. They went to the Evil Emporium or Us for evil decorum. You know, they went.
I actually said to you when they bring out their fucking submarine, I was like, if this ain't an evil villain submarine, I don't know what it is. Like, this is like Evil Villain Submarine 101.
Right, yeah. Like, I don't know if sea Nazis are a thing, but man, this was probably like, at least from like a uniform aspect, it just reminded me of what I think sea Nazis would look like.
You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, and it was one of those things where, so like, okay, for the sake of this, section of the review, and what you guys can ascertain from the trailers, our main villain is Black Manta in this movie. That's not a spoiler. But when you watch this movie and you see like he's got all these resources and all these people working with him, and with the exception of Randall Park's character, no one seems to question the morality of anything that he's doing.
Yeah, he pulled a Palpatine. He just found a fuck ton of like really evil people.
Right. And they're all too happy to assist in his fucking nefarious plans.
Yeah, his plan, which, will, if he gets it off, like into the planet, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah. I noticed that shit too. Mm-hmm. They tried to add a little bit of depth to like the one chick that was like his lieutenant or whatever.
Stingray,
yeah. That happens to be in like everywhere at once, like all the time.
Oh, she was in that movie, or you mean?
No, I mean in this movie.
Oh yeah, okay.
She's literally everywhere. She's like on the sub, and then she's driving one of the octopod things.
Yeah, and then she's fighting. Yeah. You're right. She was kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Did she teleport? Is that one of her powers? They just didn't show us, or I will admit, I thought the little octobot things, little octopus ships, those were cool.
Those were cool.
They gave me Batman and Robin vibes. I was like, I totally would have bought that action figure.
Oh, I mean, speaking of action figures, I think that explains why we get kind of the costume changes that we get sometimes.
Yeah.
For Arthur. Aquaman just kind of inexplicably changes clothes for paper thin reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so looking at this movie here and comparing it to the first one, I was thinking about like the visuals. And I think that the visuals were better in the first one. And it may just be by a very small margin, maybe negligible at best, but I still think that, and I think a lot of it had to do with like a lot of it being in the dark in the first one. James Wan, the director, he really cut his teeth on like horror films. And there's a moment in the first one where we get introduced to a group of villains called the Trench, which are like, these mindless, monstrous fish creatures, right?
Right.
And, I mean, very cool Aquaman villains, and they included them in that first movie in what was admittedly a very cool scene. And it looked great, especially in the nighttime scene that we got in that movie. We don't really get anything of the equivalency of that. Or like at the end of Aquaman 1, when we get the Orm and Aquaman fight scene. While I may have hated how we got there, I really enjoyed the fight scene between those two.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed the look of Orm in that. I did not think going into Aquaman 1 that Orm's look from the comic books would translate into live action. It did.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the only good fight scene in this movie is really good. Mm-hmm. But it's so quick, and you want it to. I wanted 5 minutes of that shit.
Same,
because it's like I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, if you want me to be 6,
right,
I can do that. If you want to build this whole movie up for just this and have this badass fight, I'm here for it.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, obviously you can't give me anything else, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is picking up.
Right.
Are we going to get some business here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are. And then it was over.
Like, I was like, okay, I could have given you guys like a cheat code. Like, if you have to do it, I'm not saying that you should, but if you have to, just, watch like Civil War, right? And give us like Iron Man versus Cap and Bucky, and just kind of give us your version of that.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't. And I don't really know why. But like you said, I know the fight scene you're talking about, and I agree. I thought that it was a tremendous 40 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the other thing, too, and I don't consider this a spoiler. He does not have the fucking Trident 4. He had the Trident more in the first movie, when he didn't start out with it.
Yeah.
Than he did in this movie.
Somehow.
He just leaves it behind. You know? Doesn't need it.
Speaking of being left behind, Amber Heard.
God damn it. So, like, it's interesting, right? Because they cut her out of all the marketing. She's only in, like, the trailer for a split second.
Yep.
She is in this movie a lot, folks.
A lot more than what you would think.
And that's another thing that Elon Musk ruined. Because really, he told Warner Brothers, like, he would come after them, basically, if they took her out of the movie.
They're still on good terms? Elon and Amber?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fucking weird. Okay.
Right. I guess she never pooped in his bed.
I guess not. Oh, maybe she did and he liked that shit.
Yeah, maybe he might be into it. I don't know. He's a weird fucking guy. But yeah, I mean, Amber Heard, she's in this a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, so here's the thing, right? Like, I'm a little hesitant to say that she's in it a lot. She is in it way more than I expected.
Or wanted.
That's
what I mean. Yeah.
The reason I can't say that she's in it a lot is because it is extremely obvious that they cut out 85% of her scenes.
They had to, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she only has maybe 6-7 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is like she shows up and casts a spell, and that's it. Speaking of things like cuts and things, they did some reshoots.
Yeah.
The fight scene from the very beginning, like the opening, that had to have been a reshoot. It was the worst looking thing in the movie. It looked awful.
You're right, like, because if you look at that fight scene compared to like what we got at the end, it's like there's no way that was done by the same stunt coordinator.
Yeah, I mean,
same
it was
cinematographer.
It was terrible.
Yeah, and also just kind of nonsensical. Like, I guess they just wanted to open up with some kind of action. Yeah, it also kind of makes me think about the fact that going back to the characterization of Arthur in this movie, he is. So I think that I figured something out here. There's a thing that's done with like Hollywood protagonists when writers no longer know what to do with them. If you were kind of like the strong, stoic, or badass type, by the time you get to a sequel, they're just going to completely goofify you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Arthur here. Like, don't get me wrong, he's always had his funny moments, but they were kind of more organic in like Justice League or...
This is not the same character from the Snyder Cut.
No, not at all. This Aquaman, he's giggly and he's goofy. And, with all due respect to Jason Momoa, I mean, the guy's always in great shape, but he's not in that Aquaman 1 shape. No. And it's kind of obvious because they keep him covered up throughout like the entire movie. Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, but I think it was like a few weeks ago. It was Jason Momoa, right? He was picking at Chris Hemsworth. He was like, he was looking at like he was in the orange suit from the movie. It's like, you see, like padded suit, you don't have to fucking, do all the work. And Chris Hemsworth's in like some fucking gym video of him fucking 28-inch arms or whatever he's got. Yeah. And it was like, I'd rather have the real thing. But no, I just wanted to point that out there because it was, I think that the orange suit looked great on him, patterned or not. Yeah. But I kind of wish they just stuck with that for the entire movie instead of that stealth suit or whatever we got.
That we got for like one scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, say what you want about Joel Schumacher, but he knows that at the beginning of the third act, all the superheroes get a new suit. Yeah. And it's a better suit than the old suit. And you don't have to explain why.
Yeah, it's just better.
It's just better,
right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like getting a new pair of shoes.
Yeah.
We know they don't actually make you run faster,
but they do.
But they're new.
Yeah.
See,
exactly. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. At least they didn't put aqua nips.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Could you imagine?
I could.
Yeah. Well, I thought that a lot of the dialogue here felt like first draft dialogue.
Oh, the dialogue was like the George Lucas prequels are like miles better in terms of dialogue than this movie.
Yeah, and I'm like in the moment, right? As I'm hearing some of this dialogue, I'm thinking if you had just said this instead, you would have conveyed the same message, but without the cringe.
Yeah,
you know,
there's a lot of those moments.
Yeah,
you know, to not to stay just completely in the negative here. I will say that the pacing, even though they are just jumping from one set piece to the next, the pacing was I think better than the first one. The movie doesn't ever really slow down, and that's kind of to its detriment at times. Yeah. But I will say that there's never like a lull where there's just nothing happening. I mean, they're always putting something new in front of your face, whether you think it's dumb or not.
So we know that they did reshoots, right? But you have to wonder how far along into this process before they realized that this was going to be like the last hurrah, and if they knew at a good time where they could still do something different, you have to wonder like, why didn't they just swing for the fences?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, there were versions of the script that had Diana and Bruce.
Yeah. And
I'm like, why didn't you just go for it if it doesn't matter?
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is the last hurrah. We're not getting anything else regardless. Just fucking go for it.
And by the way, folks, like, you haven't seen this movie yet. If you're looking for there to be some grand send-off for, like, the DCEU, it does not fucking exist. There's not even a mention. They don't even name drop anybody. Like, it's to the point where at the end of the movie, they actually talk about New York.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even bother being like, Metropolis.
Metropolis or Gotham. Yeah, I peeped that too.
Yeah, I was like, they just did not give a fuck. Like, this movie, you could watch it and not, if you didn't know that it was supposed to be part of the DCEU, there's no indicator in the movie whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
They
don't reference the Justice League stuff. They don't reference any of that.
Yeah, so they never talk about any of that shit. And you have to wonder what, like, are they, like, at this point is like Warner Brothers, are they still afraid to mention anything Zack Snyder did? Is that the case here, or are they afraid of which version of Justice League to mention?
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. Zack Snyder not having a great week either. So
yeah. Apparently he's also not. I have not seen Rebel Moon yet. I'm gonna check it out to see if it's.
I'm not gonna watch this cut. We know 100% that he's gonna have an R-rated director's cut coming. Right. I'm just gonna wait for that. And
that's true.
And not to get off on this tangent, but I'm like, this isn't the Justice League. Like, you guys didn't have to go, oh, we got to put this in a movie theater.
Yeah.
If Zack Snyder wants to make a fucking 3.5 hour fucking NC-17 rated fucking Star Wars with Blackjack and Hookers for your streaming service, just let him make that out the gate.
Yeah. I mean, like, the movie's on Netflix now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever he wanted to make, they should have just let him make whatever that was.
And he apparently made that first. Like he actually already has the finished Snyder cut.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted there to be a Snyder cut because it's a popular thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to wait for the real movie.
That might be best.
So.
Yeah. I'll check it out regardless to see, like, where on the, the Snyder scale 1 to 10. Like, we're on the Snyder cut Justice League Watchmen scale, or like the Sucker Punch. Like, where is Rebel Moon on that spectrum?
From what I have been reading, it is at the bottom of the Sucker Punch scale. My personal opinion of Zack Snyder is, I think if you have something like Watchmen and you can say, here's this graphic novel, go shoot it.
Yeah.
He will make you a beautiful film.
Yeah.
But if you go, hey, loosely base a movie on this, or hey, Zach, what ideas you got today? You are fucked. Like, you got nothing. I like Zack Snyder from a cinematography standpoint.
Right.
I think he's one of the best to ever do it. But do I think he knows fucking anything about character or story structure? I think he's a complete fucking moron when it comes to that. Like, there's no way that he actually sat down and read Dark Knight Returns, and then Batman vs Superman was in any way based off of it.
Yeah, I know what they said, right? But I never believed that was supposed to be his interpretation of that graphic novel. I think that he just had notes from DC, and then he...
Oh, no, he said that. I was in the room. Well, I was there.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? Like, and not to go off on another tangent here, but it's like I've seen so many shots from these different panels at San Diego where there'd be Hugh Jackman standing up and saying, "I got 3 words, Old Man Logan," and then the end result is a movie called Logan that's really good, but has nothing to do with Old Man Logan,
right?
Or shit. There were some other ones from different comic book movies, but
Dark
it's like
Phoenix?
I think I purposely
deleted that.
Yeah, that file was gone. But it's like at this point now, I don't know. I don't really know what to take from people when they say, "Yeah, I'm adapting this, from this graphic novel." I don't know. Anyways, we were talking about Aquaman.
We were. I mean, before we score this thing,
yeah,
and move on to the spoiler section. Is this the worst film in the DCEU? Like, where would you rank it?
This is not the worst film in the DCEU because we still got Birds
of Prey. Yeah.
Trying to think of.
I don't know that it's. I don't think it's better than The Flash, but I do think that the expectations for The Flash were a lot higher.
Oh yeah.
Like, my expectations for this movie were in the dirt. So
yeah.
I was like, I'm about to go watch this terrible movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, for me, it's down there, but it's not the worst DCEU movie.
Is it better than Wonder Woman 84?
I would still say no. I think there were more moments in 84 that I enjoyed.
Yeah. At least the fucking dialogue.
Right.
I think that this is better than the original Suicide Squad.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Not the James Gunn.
Yeah.
And I think it's better than Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
And it's better than the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other ones because I'm sure there are, but I just can't even think of all of them right now.
You got Black Adam, The Flash, Wonder Woman, Justice League.
That's right, both Wonder Woman.
Batman vs Superman.
Yes, Man of Steel. I guess there's not. It's been around so long, but there's not that many movies.
No, there's really not.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably a good spot for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Yeah.
Oh, Shazam.
Oh yeah, both of them. Yeah.
Shazam 2 is bad, but I don't think it's this bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think that there's still better character moments in Shazam 2.
Yeah.
And Megan Good is in it, so there's always
that. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's better than Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah, Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle is fucking awful. Yeah, I think it's better than that. Like, if I had to watch one movie or the other again, I'm definitely choosing this one.
Blue Beetle is like that weird in between point, right? Because that movie was made, literally, it was made for TV. That's not me picking at it. It was made for TV. And then they decided to do a theatrical release on it, which, ends up costing them more money because of marketing and all that. So, not really sure where they went that route. Really,
I'll be honest, man.
Yeah.
When they canned Batgirl or whatever, David Zaslav was like, if it's going to hurt our brand, we're not going to put it out. Then how the fuck did they put this movie out? Were they just like, we got Jason Momoa, that'll make us some money.
I think they were, banking off what the first one did. I don't think DC expected to make $1 billion off Aquaman 1. I sure as fuck didn't.
No. But you know, the box office projections for this movie are lower than the Marvels.
Yeah.
Woof. Like,
Right.
and ladies and gentlemen, we went to the nice theater on opening night. There was like 10 people there.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Now, granted, it was 10 o'clock, but still, for an opening night for a superhero movie, it was pretty fucking barren in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the 10 o'clock for Infinity War was packed. I know, because I went back and watched the movie again.
Yeah. We about ready to score this one?
Yeah, man.
Okay. I'll let you go first on this one. What do you got?
This movie fails brutally as a send-off for the DCEU, which I wasn't really fond of to begin with. So, you know, I'm not shedding any tears or losing any sleep on that. As a sequel to Aquaman 1, I guess it is serviceable at best. I think that all of the characters, Arthur included, are all like completely like just disserviced, right? I mean, there's really no character growth for anybody. We didn't talk about Nicole Kidman, but Atlanta is like she's barely in the movie. Like
she could have taken Maris, scenes.
This obviously is this is very, very evidently a movie by committee. You can tell that there's no passion in it. Nobody sat down and put pen to paper and said, I have this great idea for an Aquaman sequel. You know, this is my passion project. Someone said, we need a sequel to this $1 billion movie. Come up with whatever you can come up with.
Yep.
And Jason Momoa was there to collect his paycheck.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not that Jason Momoa is a stellar actor to begin with. He's not. He's just a fun guy, and he plays the roles that he gets typecasted correctly into pretty well.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him in the Snyder Cut especially. But much like most of the other characters in the Snyder Cut, here, they are not that character.
Yeah.
It is a gross misuse of quite a few of these actors. Patrick Wilson is easily the high point. I don't remember what I scored Blue Beetle. I think I gave it a 5.5.
You gave it something.
No, actually, didn't I give it a 4?
It was low.
It was under 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this movie a 5.5. I think it is just barely serviceable. I mean, there's nothing in it that necessarily there's nothing in this that's going to offend you, right? Like from a standpoint of like, I can't believe they did this stupid shit. Yeah. How dare you shit all over this character that I really love? Unless the only person that really suffers from that is Black Manta, right?
Yep.
And I don't care that much.
Yeah.
I think it's really more of like they just shot themselves in the foot because intriguing more than one movie villains are not easy to come by, right? But yeah, I'm comfortable with a 5.5. I don't think they really tried. And if this is the taste that the DCEU wants to leave in people's mouths, it will not be missed.
Very well put. When I think about Aquaman 1, after seeing this one, man, like I like Aquaman 1 more and more, and that's not necessarily a good thing.
If we watch the holiday special enough times.
Yeah, but when I think about the Aquaman 1, they had, those beautiful nightmarish scenes with the trench. It had a very vindictive and honor-driven Orm, the Ocean Master, and with a very dramatic and excellent fight scene at the end. It had Arthur, as paper thin as his plot was in the first one. He still learned and he grew along the way, along the journey. We got some form of progression there. In Black Manta, they gave you a small taste of Black Manta, but man, you couldn't wait to see more of him, and you knew you were going to get more of him. I feel like in Aquaman 1, man, they burned everything that they had. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. With my limited knowledge of Aquaman, right? I'm pretty much limited to like Aquaman's roles in the Justice League since like the early '90s through 2016. That's my familiarity with Aquaman and like the Jeff Johns run. That encompasses my Aquaman lore and knowledge, right? So, but from my viewpoint, I'm like, man, you guys really burned all the good things you had for Aquaman in that first movie, and you didn't fully utilize it that great, But when I look at this one, man, it's clear that I think I was right on that. They had nothing, I mean, even with like, slight spoiler alert, there may or may not be another villain pulling the strings here. Who gives a fuck, Who cares? And with the paper thin plot here and the paper thin characters here, and with end of the road stakes, but at the same time it feels so low stakes, it just misses the mark. And at the very least, if this movie had simply gotten given us more depth of Orm and Arthur, via their kind of comedic bromance throughout the movie, there could have been something there. The only thing I think that's worse than a bad movie with no potential is a movie that didn't have to be bad at all. And this movie didn't have to be as viciously mediocre as it is. There are still some cool scenes in it, and there are some cool moments with Orm. Like he was my favorite part of the movie.
Patrick Wilson doesn't get enough roles.
He doesn't, man. Like, I mean, man, like, for those who don't know, he the first time I saw him was in The Watchmen. He was Night Owl.
Yep.
Really good in that. The guy also apparently ages like Wolverine, too. Because he's got to be pushing 50.
He would be a great Doom, actually, now that we think about it.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another good thing about Doom, not to segue us, but with Dr. Doom, if somebody fucks up in that role, he's behind the mask. No one knows.
Yeah, you just be for Vendetta, that shit.
Right. But, ultimately, man, I think that this Aquaman sequel, the Lost Kingdom should have stayed lost. And I think that we probably as a whole would have been better for it. I think at best, people walk away from this movie saying, oh, yeah, it was an okay time. And at worst, people walk away saying, wow, that's what DC has to offer. And that's what you don't want. I give this movie a 6 out of 10.
It's trash, man.
Yep.
It's trash.
And it's kind of like I'm where I am now, like where I was with the Marvels, where it's like there's no pleasure anymore in delivering these scores.
Yeah.
Like it's not even. I mean, I'm wrong. The podcast is always fun, but like in terms of like delivering these scores for all these movies, I'm not some fucking stickler,
Yeah, we're not Jim Cornette over here.
Yeah.
We're not just here to shit on things.
Right.
But like when you put out shit,
yeah,
we're gonna label it and identify it as shit.
Right.
I think The Marvels is a way better movie than this movie. Like if I have a choice to watch this movie or The Marvels, I'm picking The Marvels.
I'm fucking blowing my eyes with the blowtorch.
So you got to watch this movie, The Marvels, or the holiday special.
Under the sea.
There were a couple of moments in this movie where I was like, Little Mermaid did this so much better. They really did. I don't know if you've seen the live action.
I haven't, no.
But yeah, they fucking killed it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And I'm not some avid Little Mermaid fan either.
Oh man, maybe that's what this movie needed was more musical numbers. Just have Arthur break out in the song.
When When they had the moment where they showed the band or whatever, I just looked over at you like,
yep.
Here we go. Yeah, this is the point in time where we bullshit for a minute and give you time to fuck right off if you haven't seen the movie.
That's right.
So, if you haven't seen the movie, skedaddle.
Get out of here.
We're gonna talk about some Insomniac real quick.
Yeah. What's been going on with hacker shit lately, man? First GTA 6 trailer leak, and now what they did to Insomniac was fucking vicious.
So here's the thing, man. It's like with the Insomniac hack.
I guess let's explain to the homies what that is in case they don't.
So somebody hacked into Insomniac's network and literally made off with everything. They basically got the whole network. It was several hundred gigs of data.
Insomniac is the gaming studios that made the recent Spider-Man games.
Yeah, and
they're making a Wolverine.
Yeah, and they also, what was that fucking good ass game they made before Sony bought them?
It wasn't Ratchet and Clank, was it?
No. This was an Xbox game, Sunset Overdrive.
They made. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess they did. Yeah,
that's actually what made Sony buy them.
Oh,
yeah. They were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So all the data gets stolen, and the unfortunate thing is like the hackers were like, we want like 100 Bitcoin, which is several $1 million.
Yep.
And Sony was like, fuck you, we're not paying it. And honestly, whatever their reasons are, I think that's a bad call. I think they should have paid them.
The reason I think it's a bad call has less to do with the video game and more to do with the fact that it wasn't just video game shit that was leaked. A lot of the employees'
personal information.
Yeah. That a lot of their personal information got leaked.
Which, honestly, not to get into the legalese of it, but that opens Sony up for a lawsuit.
Oh, yeah.
Those employees
they got
absolutely can sue them over failure to protect their information because, especially, I don't know where Insomniac is based, but if any of those employees or any of the companies that they do business with are based in the EU, they will crawl all the way up in that ass over some shit like this. So it all gets leaked, and really, the main two things that are of interest to the podcast, though, right, from a content perspective, are number one, like an alpha playable version of the Wolverine game exists. Yeah. You can download it and play it on PC right now. I would not advise it. Your ISP is probably going to come after you. If you, I will say again, do not do it. However, if you're going to do so, use a VPN to download that shit.
Our sponsor is ExpressVPN.
Right? NordVPN, you know what's up. Yeah. You sponsor everybody else.
Right.
But that being said, I've seen some of the footage. It looks good, especially for alpha.
Yeah.
But it's a huge demoralizing thing for Insomniac to have something they've put all this work onto. Like, it's just all the way around bad for them. And I feel for all of these developers and like the staff there.
Yeah.
But the other thing that came out is, and this is something that I felt like Sony would have advertised. I feel like they didn't do it because they were in the middle of the FTC battle with Microsoft over the whole Activision thing. Sony was really trying to like downplay all the dirty shit that they do during that trial.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we're not going to buy any studios for a while, and we're not going to announce any of these like paid exclusives because we're about to go into court and tell the FTC that Microsoft will do all this shit that we already do. So like, we're just not going to do that for a while.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, Sony has the exclusive rights on X-Men video games through 2035.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that? No. Yeah, so they signed an agreement, Insomniac, aka Sony, with Marvel to where they will be producing all X-Men titles through 2035, which to me, that says they're probably going to be exclusives. All of them. At least originally.
Right.
It means they're not coming to Xbox. They'll come to PC eventually.
Yeah.
But man, that is a crazy deal for that amount of time.
Holy shit!
Now it does not include, like, for instance, if they were to make like another Ultimate Alliance somewhere else, X-Men characters can appear in those games.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, Sony has literally the exclusivity.
So, but like a Marvel versus Capcom would also be like an Ultimate Alliance type case.
Yeah. But like, any game that's like the titular character is any of those characters,
right.
or if the game is called like X-Men, then Sony has the exclusive rights.
Wow.
Yeah, and like across the board, like it can't even be like a Wolverine cell phone game. Like it would have to come through them.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That's wild as shit.
Yeah, it's a very comprehensive deal. Yeah, I mean it's. I'm trying to look here just to make sure that there's a roadmap that leaked as well. The games will launch by 2035 and will sell through 2038. Each X-Men game has an allocated development budget of $120 million plus $30 million for marketing and a $9 million advance to the studio. Several stipulations keep Marvel from using X-Men characters in certain ways for other games. So X-Men characters cannot appear as exclusive selling points in a game on another platform, but can appear in Marvel crossover games. Marvel also cannot release, announce, or publish re-releases of old X-Men games anytime within 90 days of an Insomniac release or announcement of an X-Men game.
Jeez.
However, Marvel can terminate the agreement, and so can Sony, if the games do not sell at least 6 million units between PS5 and PC in the first year, which means we probably get a PC release within 6 months.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, because they need to get those numbers up.
Yeah. If Sony and Insomniac terminate the agreement, they have to pay Marvel $9 million. If Marvel terminates, all fees are waived. So Marvel doesn't have to pay shit if they terminate it. So basically what this means is, like, I mean, if they do a Marvel vs. Capcom, for instance, the X-Men can be in that. Yeah. But they can't be like, oh, here's an Avengers game and here's a $20 Wolverine DLC. They can't do that. Yeah. Like they won't be able to have like specific, like, let's just say they come out with Ultimate Alliance. All those X-Men characters are going to have to just be characters in the game. There's not going to be an X-Men DLC or any of that shit.
Damn. So, that's kind of fucking wild.
Yeah, it's a crazy agreement.
Yeah.
It's in place though, like that 6 million threshold basically says, like, hey, Sony, you got to put the shit out on PC way faster than you normally do. This is going to be a moneymaker for PlayStation.
Jesus.
Now, here's the thing, though. To circle back around. Yeah. Obviously, Marvel's doing this because Sony's about to go on a big push. Like, they're about to push these X-Men games out. Okay, well, then you would think over the next 10 years also that you want to use them properly in the damn movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That... I think this may be one of those cases where, like, Marvel is hoping that Sony provides like the boost for people to want to go see their X-Men, but Sony is hoping that Marvel
doesn't fuck over their own property. Yeah.
And we're gonna get to the spoiler-free section here, but it's crazy, right? How you remember? I guess now it was 4 or 5 years ago when the deal was inked and Disney properly acquired Fox Studios, right? And we were all like, holy shit, like the implications of what that means. You know, it means a lot of things, but obviously, you know, for us, it really means they got the X-Men. Right. They got the Fantastic Four. They got, damn near everything back except for the Spider folks.
And then all that they've given us so far is Ralph Boner. And the fact that Kamala's a mutant.
Kamala is a mutant, and Kelsey Grammer he's recently returned in a cameo.
Yeah, spoilers for the Marvels.
Yep.
The post credits for the Marvels.
And I think that is, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't gotten a whole lot, concerning the mutants yet, but the whole point though is that like I was under the assumption, right, that now, or back in Endgame era, Marvel has the rights now to basically everybody. We're gonna get the best X-Men movies we've ever seen. But now 5 years removed, I'm like, if we can get something along the lines of like X2, man, I'll be happy.
We talked about how like the money move was to have Rogue be the villain in the Marvels.
I still believe that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have had to try that hard.
No.
I mean, they didn't, but, so they weren't going to. But, like, I just feel like that would have been such an incredible, like, concept to start with. Now, obviously, they probably want to try to explore the whole, like, Rogue Wolverine relationship, blah, blah, blah. You can always have her start off as a villain and then give her like a redemption arc.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the whole thing is like, that's just a huge missed opportunity. And yeah, I mean, obviously they haven't even announced, other than Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
They haven't even announced anything X-Men related.
I know.
And I can see it, right? Like, obviously, like, they could make 3 phases out of those characters.
Yeah.
No problem.
They can stretch it out, but now they have to worry about is the casual fan base going to stick around for it?
Right. Well, it's also like I think that this is their like Hail Mary though. Is like you got the X-Men sitting here, but all those characters are still fresh in people's minds, like and like the actors that played them.
Well, they're not helping. They just brought back Hugh Jackman,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it making it way harder to eventually recast Wolverine. Which you're gonna have to fucking do.
Yeah.
But it's like they got X-Men over here, and Kevin Feige's like, well, this is the nuke button. But if I have to press this, then that's all we got. And I agree. Like, if you can't build characters, like that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
If you have to rely on the fact that like everybody already knows who these characters are, we are right back to what I was talking about in the cold open.
Yeah.
Who can we get?
Right.
Right.
And that's the thing, man. Eventually, and it's going to be way sooner than later, you're going to run out of fucking people.
Right.
Like, you only have so many Tobey Maguires and Hugh Jackmans you can get.
Yeah.
And then, even then, their window is very, very limited.
Yeah, and I mean, even then, like, Tobey Maguire, and if they go that route with Tobey and Hugh, you're already going back to the well on going back to the well.
Right.
This will be the second time you've used them.
Yeah. And then, don't get me wrong, people will still be excited, but there are diminishing returns to something like that.
Yeah, now, if you want to give me an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, if you want to give me a Spider-Man 4 with Andrew Garfield,
Well, a 3.
Yeah.
He didn't get a 3.
That's true. He didn't.
Yeah.
I counted No Way Home as his 3.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, if you want to give me a Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield, I'm here for it. Just keep Amy Pascal away from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that applies to all projects with the word spider in
right.
them. Keep Amy Pascal as far away from that shit as possible.
Yeah. She had to have greenlit fucking Morbius, Craven,
Madam Web,
Venom 2. Yeah, I got no words for that.
Yeah, no.
So, funny thing is, almost 5 years ago to the date, Kevin and I waterboarded ourselves for your entertainment, folks.
We're not going to do that here today.
Caleb was all about living and shit, so we are not going to do that. However, what we will do is move on to the spoiler-filled section. So now if you are still here, that means you are A-OK with spoilers concerning Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So, I'll be honest, I really don't feel like there's a whole lot of shit here to spoil because nothing nothing really happens in this movie. Like, a lot of things happen, but ultimately nothing really happens. You know, like, there's a bunch of explosions. We even get a scene where they reference the fact that they know that there are way too many explosions.
I loved that scene, like, because in the first movie, there's so many times where, like, someone is just mindlessly expositing, and then an explosion happens.
Yeah.
And so they did it once in this movie, and he's like, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
And we laughed at it. It was probably the only joke I laughed at in this movie.
Right. But that's the thing, though. Like, that joke probably went over most people's heads, right?
Right.
But it's like, I appreciate that they did that for us, you know, because that is true. They did that so many times in the first movie, and it just irritated the shit out of me. I was so tired of that. Exposition, as I like to call it.
Yeah. Man, okay. I got to gush about this shit. When we finally got the Manta versus Aquaman fight, bro.
Yep.
I was losing my shit for that 40 seconds.
Yes.
Because the fight was amazing.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, okay, all right. Well, if this is where y'all spend all the budget,
right.
I understand.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing. Please keep doing this.
Yeah.
I felt my posture change. Like, I'm back in the seat, like, you know, I check my phone so many times during this movie to see what time it was. Oh, fuck, it feels like it's been much longer than that. When that fight started, man, I was like, here,
right.
You know? I was like, let's go.
Yes.
And then it was over.
And then it was fucking over.
Yeah, in no time.
Right.
I mean, which almost pisses you off more because you're like, obviously they know where they could go with these characters.
Yeah.
Man, the whole angle that they went into with Necros, is that?
Yeah, I think, Necros.
All that shit should have been cut out in the movie.
Right. Well, yeah, we don't need him. We don't fucking need him.
And I mean, clearly they knew that too because, like, they spend the whole movie trying to wake him up. And then Arthur two shots him.
Yeah. Oh, shit. That was like, the whole thing was like some D&D shit, you know, right? Somebody gets a cursed weapon and it possesses a character. They fail some wisdom saving throws. And then the big bad stands up who the DM's been preparing for like the entire campaign. And then like he gets downed in like 2 turns. You know, that's what this was.
That would never happen. Doesn't sound like anything would happen in D&D to me.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but fuck that guy, man. Like all he did was take away from, you know, any potential depth of character that Black Manta could have had.
What's the ancestor, the original Atlantis guy?
I forget.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't just do what Arthur did.
Yeah.
Like, why seal this dude up if he just killed him?
Right.
Like,
because clearly you can just kill him.
Yeah, very easily. Yeah. You can just wreck him. You just trident to the chest, which is, you know, a famous Atlantean king way to kill a motherfucker.
Right.
And he's just donezo.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to have your trident. Maybe it's like a Sauron thing. Maybe his like will is bound to the black trident.
Yeah.
And destroying that and then killing him. He is a lich.
Yeah.
And the black trident is his phylactery.
Gotcha.
So when you destroy that and then kill him,
he's dead. He's dead.
Yeah. They just didn't have time to explain that. They didn't have an explosion that they could use. So nobody could exposit that.
Yo, I wasn't even mad when that shit happened, bro. I was just so ready to go.
Yeah. I was like, clearly they were too.
Right.
Like, they were like, do we really have to be here?
Yeah. Are we gonna do another fight scene? I mean, like, and here's the thing, right? So they shortchanged us with the Black Manta Aquaman fight, and then, you know, Orm gets the trident. So I'm thinking, are we gonna get a rematch? You know? No, we don't get that either.
No, you don't even get. Like, and then I was like, oh, we're going to go bottom of the barrel. Like, we're going to have Orm with his trident and Arthur with his trident versus the CG monster.
Yeah.
You don't even get that. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I've seen enough of that.
Right.
And I don't want it, but then you're like, let's just get the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, we needed 8 minutes with Tamura Morrison after that. I love Tamura Morrison.
I mean, they paid for him. They're like, we're going to use him.
Yeah, but he literally was a babysitter in this movie.
Yeah. He watched the kid until he didn't,
The moment that baby popped up on the screen, I was like, oh, God, here we go.
Yep.
Because you knew damn well they were going to involve this motherfucker in the plot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They introduced Arthur Jr. in the movie. And
he talks to fish the same amount of times as Aquaman does.
Yeah.
Also, there's no Aquaman power. It's like Iron Man 3 almost. He's not Aquaman for most of this fucking movie.
No, yeah. You're right. You never see him use his power to command sea life. Because,
one time.
Yeah. And it's motherfucker, you can, there's a giant fucking kraken, it's going to hurt but some of that motherfucker, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do it, but they never do that. And it's crazy, right? Because, like I said, I was flipping through the comics earlier, right? And it's Jeff Johns, in terms of comic books, right? He's the guy that DC would go to when they either need to fix some shit or they need to make something cool. And so with the New 52, they said, hey, man, make Aquaman cool. And you know what? His run on Aquaman is universally praised. It's incredible. And he goes through so much trouble, right, of explaining why Aquaman is cool and unique. And then you watch this movie, this Aquaman sequel, and they just undo all of it.
Yeah. Also, I just want to state that Patrick Wilson had to have been the only person who could say orichalcum without vomiting or busting out laughing.
Right.
Because a couple people say it once or twice. Mm-hmm. He says it 90 times in this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, please stop saying it. Also, this mysterious unobtainium.
Yeah.
Right? It's too volatile to be disposed of, so they can't dispose of it. All the vaults except the one that's right next door to the throne of Atlantis have no security whatsoever because they raided all those and no one even knew it was gone.
Yeah.
Then there's one right next door to Arthur's other vacation home, his Atlantean vacation home.
Right.
Everyone's mad about this one, but it can't be safely disposed of, right? And it's too volatile. So why is it that at the end of the movie, old fucking Dolph Lundgren and his army show up and just bomb the fucking place?
Right.
I'm like, Atlantis has ships that could have done this.
Yeah. Ages ago, whenever.
Yeah, as soon as we found this island, we could have just been summon the Kraken.
Right.
Nope. Because reasons. Also, what's the crab dude's name? He's
oh, yeah, the one-armed crab guy, whatever his name was, Akbar.
No, he was, I got it right, Brian King.
Okay.
John Rhys Davies. I knew I recognized him. I was like, that's either John Rhys Davies or it's Brian Cox, one of the two, because they have similar kind of inflections. But yeah, it was John Rhys Davies. Okay. And he did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean...
Again, I wish they'd given him better dialogue, but yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, he was the fucking CG. He was the Aquaman equivalent of Jar Jar Binks here, basically.
I wouldn't say he was that bad.
Okay, he was the Aquaman equivalent of... I don't know.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Right.
He was the Aquaman equivalent of Peter Dinklage's character from the Narnia movies.
Okay, I thought you were going to say from Infinity War.
No, I mean we could go with that, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Dimitri was Eitri. He was more important though.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually don't understand why we need Dolph Lundgren or any of those guys. I guess because it's the third act of a superhero movie, so we need a giant CG army fighting another giant CG army.
But we don't really see that though.
Yeah, it's like Deadpool 1 where they're like, we ran out of money.
Yeah,
because you see his whole army show up, and the Navy, and they're bombing the place, and they got all these people running down the bridge. And then suddenly there's only 9 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, this entire third act, correct me if I'm wrong, because like I was tired and cranky, but that does take place entirely underwater, correct?
It's weird, right? Because
yeah,
it does. Because they destroy the island at the end of the second act,
right?
And then they go into the third act where they're like way under the ocean or whatever.
So what threat was there really of Dolph Lundgren falling when he was hanging off the side of the...
He could have fell in the water, man.
Fucking hell.
Well, I mean, that water has a bunch of fucking, like, necromancer zombies in it. So, and those weird Hydra face sucker things.
Yeah, okay.
That have the extended version of the Morbius face sucker hands from the cartoon.
Oh, yeah. That was so much more creepy than just a normal vampire.
I do want to know why in the intro, like, just one of those things managed to, like, tentacle way
all the way. Yeah. Yeah, like, what the shit? Yeah.
I thought there was going to be some giant monster back there or whatever. Yeah. But they didn't see anyone for a while.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was weird, right? Like, that one fucking tentacle thing, hentai monster, like, creeped, like, a fucking mile up.
He was real hungry, dog.
Yeah.
Also, like, I will just say this. If you think too hard about anything in this movie, it falls apart like paper mache so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, the characters say it, and you have to take it at face value.
Just roll
and
with
roll the fuck with it. Because if you try to think about it for even a millisecond, you're gonna be like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. You just gotta fucking roll with it, dog.
Like, I like how the villain completely invalidates his own bullshit, where they go through this whole like baby kidnapper thing, and it's completely irrelevant. Yeah. Arthur was coming after you anyway.
Right.
They just fucking bonked him in the head while he was on the platform that needed his blood.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it didn't really matter. Like, again, and it would have been greater stakes, right, if you needed more than blood, but, like, someone needed to die. Like, someone from that bloodline needed to die in order to revive the fallen king.
There was also a ton of times in this movie where they could have, like, made the choice to, like, kill someone, but everyone has plot armor.
Yeah.
Like, he should have killed Mira in the first act.
Oh, yeah, I thought, yeah.
That would have made the person, not only would have got rid of Amber Heard,
right,
but it would have made the stakes so much more personal going forward. And then you can cut out all the shit with the kid. Don't even put him in the movie. Yeah. I have a feeling he's part of the reshoots.
The kid, you think so?
Yeah. Because you don't ever actually really see Arthur with them in the third act.
Yeah.
Like, they find him, and then all this time you see him after that is Mira running around with him. And there's no baby, and it's just like the bundled up blanket or whatever.
Right. That is a good point. Yeah, because, like, that kid really... Like, they introduce Arthur Jr., and then they just kind of make him... Not even really a plot device, because he's not needed. Right, like you just mentioned,
it's super irrelevant.
Yeah. And maybe they did it as a result of them needing to cut out so much of Amber Heard stuff, and they're like, well, we need him to be affectionate about someone. Yeah, and I guess he can't just play PlayStation with his dad. So, which that would have been great. Yeah.
I will say, I love Randall Park and Tamora Morrison both. I had enough of both of them in this movie.
Tamora Morrison, I guess he is kind of in the movie a little bit more than what I thought he was going to be.
And he also is just playing himself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Even down to him doing his little native dance or whatever that he does in he's from New Zealand, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the New Zealand dance or like the Islander Samoan dance?
I think it might be an Islander thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he has like a New Zealand accent.
That's true.
But maybe it's like a cultural thing. Yeah. If I'm being very insensitive right now, I apologize. It is out of ignorance and nothing else. Right. But I know he did the same thing in the Boba Fett show.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right. He does do it again here, too.
I was like, what? I mean... y'all could have saved a fuck ton of money and just like got Roman Reigns. If y'all were gonna have shitty dialogue, no acting, and no charisma from the lead, just get pay Roman Reigns 10% of what Momoa was getting.
Oh shit, dog. That's a little ruthless.
Yeah, well, fuck them.
God damn. Yeah. What else fucking happened in this movie? Yeah. So like breaking Orm out of prison really wasn't that hard. Just bring a bucket of water and he'll fucking demolish everybody that's keeping him hostage.
And he didn't even bring him any water.
He didn't. He said he drank it all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wouldn't like part of the plan be like, sneaking into like this I'm using quotation marks, this highly secured prison. Wouldn't you want all the manpower you could get to get him out? So bring him some water, beef him up, and then give him the fuck out. Because apparently Atlanteans are like sponges. Like, they dry you up real quick with no water, but then you just pour some water on them, and then they fucking...
Just add water, yeah.
Yeah. They just blow the fuck up.
Yeah, that whole thing was really strange, man. Like, that whole escape scene with them riding the weird, like, necro burrowers.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get what the fuck that was about. And, like... They just didn't attack them or whatever either. You'd think they would have attacked them.
Yeah.
They were just cool.
They're like, all right, man, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And then, like, you would have thought that the people that had him captive would, since they were denying him water, that they would know to keep him out the water.
Yeah.
But when he's, like, crawling towards the water, they're just chilling.
Right. Like, we got him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, nah, bro. As soon as this wave hits him, you're done.
Yeah, y'all gonna get wrecked. Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were real not smart about that whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, like we said, the whole movie is like this. It's just it's literally just one plot device after another.
There was one scene you pointed out when they go to like the fucking Smuggler's Cove, like the Pirate Bay area.
Oh my god!
And they go to like the main dude there, and Arthur begins to torture the guy after some dumb fight scene that we get here. Arthur tortures the guy, right, by putting like a scuba helmet over his head, but he begins to drain the water from it. The implication being that he drains too much water from it, and the guy's gonna suffocate because he's just gonna be in there with air and no water.
He's reverse waterboarding. He's airboarding.
He's airboarding. Yeah. The problem is that, as Caleb pointed out during the viewing, his gills were on his side.
Right. Yeah.
So
it was the dumbest thing in the whole movie. That and the scene where they kidnap Arthur Jr. That's the worst acting. That scene was Star Wars Holiday Special bad.
It was just yelling.
It literally was the worst acting I've ever seen in this budget of a film.
And you know what made it worse for me was that like there were a few moments that like the cinematography I thought was really good at some moments, but then there were moments like this scene that it was just bad. Like the 1980s fucking daytime soap opera television slow motion shots that they did. Completely unnecessary.
Oh yeah,
and they did that during the kidnap scene, and I'm like, fucking why? It's not a good shot.
We got way worse visuals in this. Like granted, like when they do the first attack on Atlantis, that was a cool scene. Like I like how they had the little underwater like super highways and stuff. Like that was all cool. I really love those little Octobot things. Those were really awesome. Like that was all stuff where it's like, yeah, I could get behind this. But then they have Randall Park kind of like narrating over all of it.
Yep.
And talking about how they found the shit and how they power it and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, bruh, you're the bad guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And everybody, there are no arcs in this movie. There are only light switches. Like you have with Orm, where he's like, don't call me brother, fuck off and die. the whole movie, he's just like, blindly, Arthur's a real piece of shit, Morty. And then at the end, he's magically like, you are my brother. And Atlantis should be happy to have you, blah, blah, blah.
And I'm like, but why? Like, we never got to the why. Like, there is no journey. It's only destination.
Yeah. And everything that the council, says about Arthur is completely true.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do anything to rectify that or help it or anything.
Yeah, there's no character growth or progression here in this movie.
Yeah,
it's all just, well, this is where they end up at, and so it doesn't really end it. And also, what was the plan with Orm at the end there? All right, it's too bad you died back there, little brother. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But don't go too far because we're gonna bring you back. How? Right. What are you gonna say? About this hardened, murderous criminal that you freed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That basically, if they're alive, you've basically started war with one of the kingdoms.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, again, who's to say that Orm has really changed? He could wake up any day and be like, I should be the king of Atlantis.
Right. Yeah. Which, not to mention, this whole movie actually, they could have done a lot more with it if they had actually made a Flashpoint movie and actually had the Themyscira Atlantean War later on, because then they could have used this movie to make you think, okay, is this going to lead to that?
Right.
It would have been very easy for them to kind of tie that into this plot and make the movie have some stakes. Mm-hmm. But they fucked up both movies, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it was real unfortunate. Yeah,
it is. Man, it's like James Gunn has to just be like, well, like you said, it's only up from here.
Yeah,
but he is starting out with such an I'm not gonna say impossible, but just an improbable task of adapting All-Star Superman.
Yeah, and I'm like, James, you don't have to do that to yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to turn the difficulty up to 11 to start out with, man. Just fucking come out with whatever, like a Batman or something.
Right. I mean, I think doing the Batman and Robin movie is a really safe and effective bet.
Yeah.
But I mean, starting off with a movie that's based off of All-Star Superman, that is quite the difficult task.
It's going to have to be very loosely based.
It has to be, right? Yeah. But I think if they adapt, they need to adapt the nature of Clark Kent, because that's where it really stands out, and also Lex.
What do you think about the Nicholas Hoult casting? Because we haven't talked about this.
We have not talked about that. I don't know if I've ever seen him in a role like that, but I think he's got some good chops. You know what I mean? I'll be honest, he's never really blown me away in anything, but I never thought that he was a bad actor.
Yeah. Well, this could be the role.
That he could be good or bad.
No, where he could, either, right? But this could be the blow you away.
Yeah.
You know? I was trying to look at it optimistically, but now that you say it could go either way, yeah. Because there is no middling Lex Luthor.
Yeah, that's true.
Either he's awesome or you fucked it up.
Yeah.
If it's mid, you fucked it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And the dynamic between Lex and Clark, that's one of the hard selling points of All-Star Superman. Really seeing the dynamic between those two.
I'll be honest, man. If I were them, one major change I would make from that comic book, since Nicholas Holt's not like a spring chicken, but he doesn't look old either.
Yeah, I mean he's like our age, a little bit younger.
Right? Yeah. I honestly think you go the route that has worked the best in live action. Go the Smallville route and have it start out with them being friends.
Yeah.
Paint, even though we all know he's a villain, paint him in a positive light to begin with, and show that turn of where he feels betrayed by Clark. And you can't do that all in one movie, right? You have to pretty much, for most of this movie, he's a quote-unquote good guy.
Yeah. So you mean a little bit like in the Raimi Spider-Man flicks, a little bit of Harry and Peter?
Yeah. Yeah. Right? You don't have that villainous side come out until towards the end.
Right.
And I mean that's a good seed for a long-term villain. They worked with Loki in the first Thor.
They did, yeah.
You know, and I think that's the way that they should go with him. If not, man, it's just going to be really hard. Like, he's going to really have to kill it.
Oh, yeah. And you know, from a certain standpoint, like, I think that's a great book, maybe not to adapt, but for, like, the cast to read, because it is kind of a character study, if nothing else.
Right.
You know, and, you know, especially for, like, the three main leads, your Lois, your Clark, and your Lex. But, yeah, man, I just... they're really gonna have to just sell me on who their interpretation of these characters are,
right?
You know, but yeah, I'm curious to see what Nicholas Hoult can do, because so far, at least from my perspective, I think he's maybe the biggest name that's attached to the movie.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's gonna be interesting seeing him as a bad guy. I want to see it. You know? Yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I'm certainly interested, man. I mean. And it's James Gunn's to win or lose.
And that's 2025, right? Or
yeah, so this year we've got literally the only big tentpole release. Mm-hmm. We just have Deadpool.
And Madam Web, yeah.
Just Deadpool. And then next year, man, the gloves are off. We're gonna see Full Tilt Phase 5 versus James Gunn.
Yeah.
And if Marvel ain't got their shit together by then, they know James Gunn's about to mollywop them.
Oh yeah. He's gonna fucking bring it.
Cause like, regardless of if that movie is good or not, you know the soundtrack is gonna be banging.
Oh yeah, yeah. That soundtrack's gonna be phenomenal.
I can't say that shit for this movie. Yeah. I barely remember any of the tracks,
bro. Yeah, nothing from this movie, like from a soundtrack or score, really stand out to me.
Nah.
Yeah, nothing that I can recall.
No, it's like if you just Google like exciting music, dramatic music,
right? he pulled a page from the homies and just used a bunch of royalty free music for this movie,
right?
One more thing about like the Superman movie, since again it is loosely adapted from All Star Superman. If it were you, do you kill Pa Kent again?
Oh, man. That's one of those things like the Uncle Ben death, right? Where it's like, you must have it to an extent. I think I would either... So I would do one of two things. If I wanted to play it safe, which is not what James Gunn typically does, I would go the Spider-Man route. He's already dead when we meet Clark. And that's it.
Yeah.
Or, if you want to shake it up, I would say you go the other route. He lives.
He lives, yeah.
And and Martha dies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is shaking it up.
Like, you start the movie where they're both alive, and then you set it up, and everybody's like, oh, here comes the Pa Kent death, and then you flip that.
I kind of think it would be, and again, not to subvert expectations, because 9 times out of 10, that shit does not work. But maybe you have Pa Kent live in this movie. And then in the second movie, we see him in a scene, right? And it's just a normal scene. And then later on in the movie, Clark gets a call that he dies. Like, and the death happens off screen. I think that, that has potential to have to be like a really kind of intense scene if they could pull that off.
I mean, I could see if you do that, right? Mm-hmm. You could also pull the rug out from under us, have him get the phone call. Mm-hmm. He fucking whirlwind flies to wherever, full tilt, gets there, finds out there's nothing. The whole thing is a diversion to get Superman out of Metropolis so that some nefarious shit could go down.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then later on, he finds out Lex is behind it.
Right. And then Lex like, nah, dog, for your dad dead.
Yeah, I mean, they always could do that.
Yeah.
But
that could be a cool take, though. Just use it as a distraction. I mean, it would distract both Clark and the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find ways that subvert expectations but are also cool.
Right.
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 Hollywood likes to miss that second part, though. But I will say, man, James Gunn has a lot of credit with me right now after Guardians 3.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I'm not sure how James does with like solo focused movies because to me, like a lot of his best work has been ensemble, between Guardians and Suicide Squad. Like,
well, maybe he goes into this thinking of it as an ensemble. It's Lex, it's Clark, it's Lois, it's Jimmy.
Yeah, that's true. And there are a lot of other heroes that are going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
So I know they introduced. I think it's a Hawk Girl's going to be in it.
Yeah.
And some other ones. I don't remember who. But.
Man, I really hate that we're not going to get any more of that Black Adam Hawk, man, because he was the fucking business.
They can bring him in, man. Just, yeah, he was great.
He was so good.
Yeah. I guess we were talking about Aquaman too.
Unfortunately. On the way over here, I was like, we're just going to go in here. We're going to give the people what they want. Mm-hmm. We're going to give them a straightforward movie review. We're not going to go down a bunch of rabbit holes. And I think for the most part, we haven't. Mm-hmm. But, man, there's only so much we can say about this movie.
Yeah. And, like, giving the people what they want, like, I don't know how much they want us to shit on something,
We got a busted-ass CG Jurassic Park towards the end.
Did we?
Yeah, with all the weird, like, the giant rat being eaten.
Oh, yeah. That was fucking weird. When they were in the weird junk. Where was this shit?
Right, yeah. Random island that nobody can find with a giant green smokestack.
Like, I'm fine with, like, the monstrosities and weird shit being in Atlantis or in the ocean. But when we hit land and we get all this weird shit, I'm like, okay, now where in the DC universe is this?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really make sense.
I will say when they're kind of doing the buddy cop stuff, that's probably when the movie works the best.
I think so too.
Yeah,
they just forgot to again just add more depth to it.
And the dialogue is awful. For all of it.
Yeah. I did get a chuckle when Orm was Naruto running.
Yeah, and I'm like, why the fuck does he keep Naruto running everywhere? And then he's like, I don't know how to run. I was like, that actually makes fucking sense. Yeah. Wow, something made sense in this movie.
Right.
Somebody had the fucking wherewithal to think about that.
Right.
But not anything else.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh man, that shit hurt.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson, like, his back is got to be killing him.
Got to be killing him. But that's like Patrick Wilson with all of James Wan's movies. Like, because, James Wan has him in, like, all of those, what are they, Conjuring? The one with the Warrens, the ghost hunting people.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson, he's in, like, all of those, and it's like... For a lot of those, he's one of the only people acting,
Right. Yeah, he's the Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
He's the only person fucking acting. Wait. No. Who does Patrick Wilson voice in Teen Titans Go?
He's a voice in Teen Titans Go?
Yes.
That's
sorry.
News to
I
me.
don't want to rabbit hole us here, but yeah.
Yeah, that is fucking news to me.
That hurts. He's only in one episode, though, so it can't be. It'd be hilarious if they had him as
Orm?
No, as Night Owl. Or
that would be hilarious. Or if it was Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I have a whole lot more to say about this, man. Do you have like any kind of final thoughts about this? Any final farewells or goodbyes for the DCEU?
Rot in pieces to the DCEU. I gotta say, the DCEU to me is a whole lot of sizzle and not very much steak. The truly good moments that we got out of the DCEU, I gotta say, it was not worth the time or effort investment. The returns were not there. If I got to sit down and go, how many of these movies have I truly, thoroughly enjoyed and would want to watch again? There is the Snyder Cut and the James Gunn Suicide Squad. And that's the cream of the crop. From there, you got the extended cut of Batman vs. Superman. I don't know if you can even count that. Shazam 1. I'm not a person that loves the first Wonder Woman. I know that the zeitgeist at the time was like, fuck yeah, but that movie to me is really boring. I put it right there next to Man of Steel.
I quite enjoy Man of Steel.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing is, what did it ever really lead to besides the Snyder Cut?
Yeah. With the DCEU, the whole thing was mismanaged from the start. And they had so many different starts and stops. And ultimately, their goal was never art. It was always money.
Yeah, because it was 100%. They're doing what Marvel is doing now from day one.
Yeah.
They don't even have the foundation. Literally, Marvel came out with Avengers. And DC, who for years has had the rights to all these fucking characters. Go and, I won't watch it, but go and watch the Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
About like the 5th greatest basketball player playing today. And and look at all those fucking characters that they put in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
WB has everybody. They have access to everything. They could have and should have been doing this stuff for
40 years. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, Superman Lives would have been better than a bunch of the stuff that we got. Yeah, I mean, they've had all these characters for all this time. They could have been doing this. Marvel came out with Avengers, and they went, oh, you mean that we could be making $1 billion off of these movies? And then they set out to make $1 billion.
Yep.
That's it. There was no, we want to sit down and, like, they rushed Batman versus Superman.
Yep.
That should be like your 15th movie, not your 2nd movie.
Yeah.
What a fucking nightmare. Then we went straight into, we got Wonder Woman, then we went straight into the Justice League.
Yep.
This boneheaded shit where we're going to put all the Wonder Woman movies in the past.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no idea.
I mean, there was mistake after mistake after mistake. It was mismanaged. And then after the Justice League, you have where it's almost like we're pivoting in real time based on the goddamn YouTube comments and Rotten Tomatoes scores. And once you've started doing that, ladies and gentlemen, you hang it up.
Yeah.
You're done. And then we get movies by committee. Next thing you know, it's like, all right, The Flash is going to right all of our problems, all this bullshit we've done. And then The Flash is another epic disappointment. And it's just like, there was never any point where this ship was going to float. It was sinking from the moment that they put it in the water.
Yeah. You know, the issue is that in order to do this, you need a 2010 Kevin Feige. You know.
Shit. The 2023 Kevin Feige is better than what they had. At least, like, okay. All right, I will say 60% of what we get from Marvel today is junk, but they have a roadmap, and they will actually make the movies. They will come out, and they will be at least loosely connected. I can't promise you I'm going to want to buy the lunchbox, but the bar is low.
Yeah. You know, I guess I'll just say this, right? So, like, in terms of us scorching the ground with the DCEU. I do have sympathy for like the hardcore DCEU fans. I listen. There are movies and there are moments that I truly enjoy, and I will definitely go back and revisit. But in order for us to make something great out of this, got to start over.
Yeah.
I mean, we just none of this shit is usable anymore.
None of it.
And so I would rather lose, as much as it hurts, lose those good moments and those good movies that we got, and just start over. Start over with a clean slate, and we can build something better than what we had before. Because as it stands now, we're left with a mangled mess of a disjointed, mishandled, quote unquote universe. Like it's like silly putty. It doesn't form when you hold it in your hands. That's what the DCEU is. And there was a time, even at the beginning, when they royally mishandled it, there was a time still where they could have potentially recovered it and gotten to a better position, but they didn't. And so yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the DCEU is it came to a tumultuous end, and it went out on a popcorn fart instead of on a bang. But I mean, you know what? Like I said before, there's only up. I think it's better to start over than to continuously try to make something out of this. So I think Aquaman 2 is kind of in a weird way, it's a perfect representation of the entirety of the DCEU. It just shows us that there may be moments that are fun, there may be moments that are really well shot, but as a whole, it doesn't make sense, and it was never going to go anywhere. So yeah, James Gunn is a great filmmaker who loves comic books, and he has vision. So I would much rather ride with him into the unknown than continue to ride with whatever the DCEU was doing.
I mean, at least it'll probably have some direction, right? I mean,
yeah.
Like even James Gunn is not a stickler for sticking to the source material.
Yeah.
But he also, even though he may veer way off the source material, it'll be good, and he cares about the characters.
Yeah.
If you would have told me that by the time Guardians 3 was going to wrap, that Drax was going to have a good arc, or that Nebula was going to have a good arc, or that Rocket was going to have damn near, other than Cap and Iron Man, I think he's got the best arc in the fucking MCU.
Yeah, like the angry Joe Pesci raccoon ended up with a phenomenal arc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's his movie, and he fucking nails it.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd have told me that I was even going to like fucking Chris Pratt, like that I was going to like his performance. He was great in that. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
James Gunn got a lot of credit with me right now, man.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers Discovery, which, by the way, there's apparently talks that they're in talks to merge with Paramount.
I heard about that.
I was like, I cannot wait to install the Warner Brothers Discovery, Xfinity, Paramount, Max plus app.
Right. I'm like this, okay, I guess if y'all want to do that, go ahead, but my fucking price better not go up at all, or I'm canceling that shit.
I'm already about to cancel my Max because they're taking my 4K, and they want me to pay $20 a month if I want the 4K.
Oh, fucking hell.
And I'm like, well, the only reason I'm giving you guys any money now and not storing this content completely legally on my own server is because of the 4K content, because it's super expensive to store and download 4K content. But if you take that from me, well, then I'm just going to give you nothing.
Yeah.
And I'll watch the shit in 1080p.
Fuck it.
Because if I can do that for free or pay you, then I'm going to do it for free.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's funny because like the only streaming network that I feel like I actually get my money's worth out of is Netflix. And they be going up on that shit like every year. And every time I see it, I'm like, those motherfuckers, but then I keep it.
Bro, like, no, for real though, because I was slashing streaming services, right? Like I got rid of fucking Hulu. I think I had Paramount. I got rid of it.
I had Paramount just for Yellowstone.
Right. I never had Peacock. But if I did, I would get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know. But I was just slashing them, right? And I was like, okay, oh yeah, I canceled Disney Plus.
If I didn't get that shit through my phone,
yeah,
I would have been canceled it too, man.
Yeah. I finally canceled it, and it expires in January, so I got to then to watch Loki and what if, and then I think I'm good.
I got you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Through your legal services, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was about to cancel Netflix, man, because like it wasn't that long ago. Their shit was like $13 a month, and now that shit is like fucking 20.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what in the fuck am I paying for right now? This is some bullshit.
They got the best content though.
They do. And that's why I still have it.
Stranger Things is on point. Sex Education is fucking tremendous. Can't recommend that show enough. Oh my god, that show is good. And here's the thing. You may not realize it, but you know the Barbie movie, by far the box office winner this year, probably going to also win some Oscars. It's going to be the first time in a very long time that the box office and the awards line up. I think the last time that happened was Return of the King.
Damn.
Return of the King actually still has the record for Oscar wins.
Oh, that's right.
And they also made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But ever since then, it's been like artsy film with fucking Leonardo DiCaprio in it that made $40 at the box office, showing in 41 theaters.
Right.
Versus like Avengers,
you
know, and they're like, fuck those guys with their billions of dollars. I will say this, we were off topic again here, but if Cillian Murphy doesn't get the fucking doesn't get the Oscar, they can fuck right off.
Yeah, best lead.
Yeah.
Who else would fucking get that?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I don't hate Margot Robbie.
Yeah, she's
just okay to me. Like she's just meh. Like she's serviceable. I think she did a great job in Barbie, but she shouldn't even be nominated for that shit. But yeah, I digress. If you watch Barbie, the thing that movie really has in it, Greta Gerwig definitely watches Sex Education because like most of the cast is in that. It is the new Community where it's like, oh my god, like you're gonna see these people like blowing up that work on this show. You already have Eric from the show is already the new Doctor. I don't know what the fuck Asa Butterfield is doing now, but it's funny because he originally was like the lead on that show.
Oh.
And then everybody else like has kind of surpassed him.
I know that name. What else has he been in?
I'm gonna have to look
because I heard that name. I'm just trying to remember what in the fuck I saw him in.
Let's see. Asa Butterfield. What the fuck you been in? The kid looks. He was in Ender's Game. He was the kid in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harrison Ford. Well, Harrison Ford was in it. But
Ncuti Gatwa, fucking amazing as the Doctor already. I'm not even a Doctor Who fan. I mean, I Doctor Who's like I'll watch it if it's on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably watch every episode that he's in.
Oh hell yeah,
he's amazing. He's my favorite character on the show. Emma Mackey was like the runner-up to play Lois Lane. I mean, a lot of these people. Connor Swindles has a very major role in Barbie. Like a lot of these people that are in that show are gonna blow up, and it's because like the cast and the writing are tremendous. Like the only person in that show that was even remotely famous was Gillian Anderson.
Oh yeah, and
she nails it as always.
Right,
but then it's like the whole rest of the show so good. I highly recommend it. And you know they do a lot of judging by the name of the show. They in the first season, sex position. Yeah. I mean, within the first 5 minutes, like the whole opening of the first episode is just a montage of a bunch of the characters fucking, right? But then like it's real, like the writing is just really good, and it goes into like these really good arcs, to the point where by the end of last season, you really are like a lot of these characters needed another season to really breathe. But Sex Education, you got it's over with now, but Last Kingdom.
Oh yeah,
and I haven't seen the movie yet. The last season sucked. The movie apparently redeems it. I haven't.
I think Lauren was talking about that, right?
Yeah. I still need to watch that. I might do that tonight or tomorrow. But like, nobody else would have done that shit. They would have been like, "Oh, that season sucked." Well, they would have done what HBO did and been like, "Fuck off! It was great." You know what I'm talking about,
right?
Adjust the settings on your TV. You know. But yeah, man. I mean, when I turn on Netflix, man, there's something to watch.
That's true. Yeah. Black Mirror, which I need to get back into that.
Yeah, and we got Stranger Things season 5 finally coming out.
Yeah.
I do think they are going to need to really focus on, like, growing some new stuff because everything that I've been raving about, that shit's over with.
Yeah. And that's kind of always been the thing about Netflix is chasing that next big thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to always be their game.
And, you know, sometimes they go quantity over quality, but, you know, if you give me 15 things and I like 3 of them, that's still fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Right.
Over whatever Disney's doing.
Yeah, well, yeah, we going to see when it comes to Disney.
They gave me Ahsoka, which I'm eternally thankful for.
Yeah.
Like, if they bought Star Wars and never gave me anything worth a fuck except for that,
right,
it's worth $4 billion of somebody else's money to me.
You know, I also this like over the next few days I'll be watching What If, and man, I swear if this season isn't a banger, I'll be very disappointed.
I think that I looked at a few scores for the first episode, and it seems like it's all right.
Okay,
it's been getting good scores. It's like what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? So
I mean, she'd probably be dead when Thanos raises it. I don't know.
You're right. Well, I think it takes place in like the Guardians 1 era.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
you got anything else, man? Before we take this one along?
We ain't been talking about Aquaman for a minute now. So.
Oh yes, we were talking about Aquaman.
A whimper to end the dying DCEU. This movie should have been a death rattle for that, and it couldn't even get that right. I'll be honest, after this movie, I really don't even want to see Jason Momoa as Lobo. I didn't really have any interest in Lobo to begin with, so put that in your pipe and smoke it, folks.
Well, damn, there you have it. So mid that homie Caleb doesn't even want to see Jason Momoa be Lobo. Yeah, I've said all I can say on this matter, and if you guys want to hear us talk more about the end of the DCEU, we actually did an episode covering this a few months ago, so you guys should just go back and check that out.
We did, and then we also did a 2023 end of the year review
that we did.
So
that was also a very great episode. I need to finish editing that so I finally put it on this podcast as well. But you guys can check the video out on YouTube under Entertainment Evolved, and it is also on the. You have the audio up for that as well?
I dropped the edited audio to you.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think I got the audio up for mine as well. Let me double check that real quick, but I'm pretty sure that I got that up. Yeah. So best and worst of 2023. Yeah, I have that up on audio too, but. I think I sent you the edited audio.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have to edit.
Yeah, shouldn't have to edit, yeah. Which is even better.
Yeah. And then, since we're talking about things we recently did, you should definitely not check out the Star Wars Holiday Special, but you should check out our review. And if you are even remotely thinking about watching it, don't go on YouTube under Entertainment Evolved and listen to our review there. I actually have the special with no sound playing in the background. So while we talk shit about it, you can see some of what we're talking about and not waste your time watching it.
Oh my god. Yeah, I got PTSD from that fucking atrocity of a movie
and
special.
I was not worried about copyright violation because that would mean Disney would have to admit they own it. And they will not do it. The whole special with the audio is on YouTube.
Holy
and
shit.
Disney won't strike it.
Yeah.
Because they'd have to admit that they own the shit. They're like, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. Who's is that? That ain't us. Yeah.
So, I that was an amazing episode. I've been told by several people that it's a very fun episode to listen to. It was not fun to be there for the actual.
Yeah, no copious amounts of alcohol could make that movie tolerable. It was a rough go, but the episode was great. But man, the process to get to the episode, that shit was rough.
Pain.
Holy shit. But yeah, definitely check that out. That is on this platform, and that's what Caleb said. He has it up across several places. For the love of God, don't watch the special, though.
Please don't watch it.
Yeah.
Is this our last episode before the Homie Awards?
It is. Yeah.
Well, go vote, folks. This is going to be monumentous.
Yes.
This is the most prestigious award show there is.
Yes.
Yours truly will be there, along with the homie Oz, to help out with the hosting duties this year. Our powers combined, we can fill in for Kevin. And we're going to also, I think, have to drink twice the alcohol.
Yes. Easily. So, the good news is the onus is not on us this year to determine the winners. It is up to all of you. Yeah. So get your voting in. But that's going to be it for this one. This has been another really, really fun episode here. I wish that the subject matter was of better quality, of harder stock, but such is life. DCEU, we'll see you on the next go-around. Homies, we'll see you guys again soon for the Homies Award. But until then, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And I'm Superhero Homie Caleb.